It is that time again. Brian Norman versus Devin Haney. What really happened? In this video, I'm going to break down from pillar to post, start to finish, pretty much what I took away from the fight. Let's get started. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Congratulations. Devin Haney becomes a 3-division champion with a dominant win. Domination. In my videos, I give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I plan on doing that. To be perfectly honest, all of the good goes for Devin Haney. I don't have really a single good thing on the Brian Norman side. So we'll start with the good because I like positivity. The good is Devin becomes a 3-division champion, stays unbeaten, and he shut people up. Now, for me, this fight went exactly how I thought. I gave you guys some thoughts before the fight, and I told you that this was a 50-50 type fight on paper, but it depends heavily on the approach, the mentality, the style in which they fight. And if you remember me saying this, just type "I remember" in the comments. But I told you in a warning in those earlier videos that the Normans were doing a lot of talking, podcasts and interviews and whatever. They were doing a lot of talking. I actually felt they were getting the best of the talking, but that's only half of the battle, right? You could say this, but what happens when them bright lights are on, right? So the Normans did good in building up the fight, getting publicity for the fight, getting people to like their personality. All of that flash did not turn into substance on the night of the fight. Virtually nothing they said, and I'm just going to lump them in as one team, nothing they said came true. Everything that Devin Haney said came true. So you got to give credit to Devin Haney. Devin said, I'm going to show him I've been at the top and there's levels to this. And I happen to be at a higher level. He ain't really beat no one. He been on the top ranked diet. Whereas I fought Lomachenko. I got experience from the Ryan fight, so on and so forth. That showed up. There looked to be an extreme skill and learning and experience gap from what I've seen. Period. Now, I was going to save this for the end, but since y'all locked in, y'all going to watch the whole video anyway. Let's get it into it. After that performance, this particular performance, if you are hating on Devin Haney, you're probably not a real boxing fan. You're probably someone who doesn't care about the sport. You're probably somebody who lost money, or you were riding with the Normans, or whatever your deal is. You're not, because we can't do that. And let me explain. What we can't do is this. We can't set the table and set the stage and say, Devin looked horrible in the Ramirez fight. I agree. He didn't look good in the Ramirez fight, right? That don't change. This fight, this is a brand new fight, new opponent, blah, blah, blah. Didn't look good in the Ramirez fight. But the haters, they're talking about he didn't look good in the Ramirez fight. He's a shell of his former self after the Ryan fight. All he does is lawsuit. He's pillow-fisted. He's boring. You know what I mean? Just everything negative that people have said about Devin Haney, right? You can't go from that to watching this fight and then not give the guy credit. On my channel, that is not something we are prepared to do. Whether I talk a lot about manhood, masculinity, and part of being a man is admitting when you're wrong. You know what I mean? And if you can't do that, I don't view you as a man. Now, again, this fight played out pretty much how I figured. Told you it was like a 50-50 fight. Both had a pathway to win. I told you I didn't see Devin Haney getting a knockout. It would be likely outboxing in a decision. That's what happened. I said if Brian Norman were to win, it would be by brute force. But I also told you, and if you guys remember, type I remember in the comment section, that what I was seeing from the Normans was very boastful, gleeful, like, ooh, we can't wait to get Devin in there. He hit soft and he's not a proper puncher. You see what Ryan did, whatever they were saying. And I told you, and if you remember, type I remember, that is the wrong approach. You do not need or want to go into a fight so, like, feeling yourself so much to the point where you feel somebody can't hurt you. Somebody has nothing for you. I know I said this because I still remember the analogy or example that I gave. It was from the UFC. If you guys remember, I said it reminds me of Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal said he fought Usman in the first fight. He hits soft. He hits like a princess. And he said he didn't feel no type of power. Cool. So he went in like relying on his chin, went in already having one octagon fight with this dude, and he went into the rematch like, this dude cannot hurt me. I'm invincible. He hits too soft to do anything with me. It was one of the worst knockouts of that year in the UFC, what Usman did to Jorge Masvidal. He was out cold, asleep. And I use that example specifically. So if you don't remember me saying it before, you should remember that now that I'm filling you in. If not, the videos are still up. But I remember using that Usman and Jorge Masvidal UFC example, and I told you the Normans need to treat Devin Haney like he's Godzilla, like he's King Kong. You don't want to go into a fight. Haven't y'all read the 48 Laws of Power? Robert Greene? The Art of War? Sun Tzu? You got to think like a strategist. You don't just underestimate your enemy. Oh, they're not prepared. Like, it's like the 300 Spartans or something, right? You think, oh, we got a bigger army. We about to cook them. We're about to destroy them, pillage the village. It's over. But you dealing with the 300 Spartans, and they said booby traps, and they ready for it. So you never want to go into a battle with that type of mind, with that type of mindset, like nothing can hurt me. That's exactly the exact same thing that I told and warned the Normans about. I feel like they got that wrong. So now we're getting to the bad and the ugly from the Normans. They went into this fight, in my opinion, very cocky. You've seen Devin hurt before. You know your son has power, and then you focus real heavy on that. And even though Devin stole from Floyd Mayweather when he said it, you violate and I'll demonstrate. That whole sequence now ages very well for Devin Haney and very badly for Brian Norman, because Brian Norman was like, you ain't finna sit in the pocket and trade with me. We know you ain't finna sit in the pocket and trade with me. I'm going to learn you something if you sit in the pocket and trade with me. And then Devin said, I don't know, but what if you violating, I demonstrate. You violating, I'm going to demonstrate. What if I put you down? What if I hurt you? I don't remember his exact words, but Brian Norman said something to the effect of can't happen, won't happen. That shows a lack of experience that Devin was talking about, because it can happen, and it did happen. Now Devin got a highlight reel knockdown where he posed for the camera, and this is in history now. Devin pieced you up, bop, bop, dropped you. No, actually, he hit you with a shot upstairs. Brian Norman did the funky chicken legs. His legs was like stutter stepping. Devin seen that, blinded him, And Bow came around the guard, it looked like, and dropped him, which is what you've seen in that picture right there. You never want to underestimate your foe. I told y'all that. So I told you it was about mentality for this fight. Experience definitely showed up. The Normans, it was an abysmal performance. Devin beat the blood out the boy. That's just, this picture shows it. They both were in shape. That didn't make the difference. What made the difference, Devin's experience and his mind and his ring IQ. So ain't nobody should hate on this performance, bro. You could talk about Devin and Ryan rematch or Conor Ben. Save that for a second. That's a different convo. This fight, you got to give props, especially if you were one of the people who thought Brian Norman was going to sleep Devin Haney, because that didn't happen. So round 1, pretty close. Round 2, horrible round for Brian Norman. 10-8 round for Devin Haney. As I mentioned, Devin caught him with a shot. Brian Norman legs buckled early in the fight. Both fighters, it's the second round. Both fighters pretty full on power. And Devin clipped him, jumped on him, and dropped him. Drop, like the Beastie Boys said. And credit to Devin. He boxed very well. And he has one of the best jabs in the game. He's in my top list. No particular order off the top of my dome. This is no particular order. Best jabs, Jermell and Jamal Charlo, for sure. I would say Errol Spence, but he's been kind of MIA, but he has a good jab. Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney. I like Inui's jab. David Benavidez, when he uses his jab, got a real good jab. And I like Abdullah Mason's jab. That's like a strong 8 best jabs in the game. Devin has that. He has a great jab, and he was flicking it. Up jab, work in Brian Norman. And the crazy thing is, because Devin, I told you I didn't see him knocking out Brian Norman, but he came close to it in that second round. And this is post-fight how the boy looked. Brian Norman face looked toe up. I think a lot of that was from the jab and the 1-2. His eye is gone. So again, there shouldn't be anybody outright hating, because I see people like posting pictures of Ryan Garcia dropping Devin. Come on, man, that's corny. Like it's like little kids or something, bro. Give the man his credit, especially if you was one of the ones that said he was terrible and no chin and all that. Like, I told you, this was a good fight, a dangerous fight for both. There was a pathway for both people to win. But Brian Norman, let's keep going with the bad and the ugly. He did not do anything that he promised. Nothing. I'm not even being funny. Nothing that he promised him and his dad in the buildup. They said, don't stand in the center of the ring. You ain't finna trade with me. We're ready to go 12 rounds and win that way, but I'm going to knock him out for show. None of that happened. None of that happened. So everything that happened before, it is what it is. Because none of my opinions have changed at all. I thought Devin did exude some nervous energy leading up to the fight, but I also said before the fight, if you actually watch my content, I said nerves, they don't have to inherently be bad. It's what you do with the nerves. So I still think Devin had some nerves going on, but he's a fighter. You get in the groove of fighting and taking punch and seeing what the guy has to offer, your confidence starts to grow, blah, blah, blah. So the nerves didn't actually stop the more experienced Devin Haney, who's been at the higher level, from proving his point. So it was just a very good performance from Devin Haney. Again, boxing, you're only as good as your last performance. I critiqued Devin on the Ramirez. I didn't like the performance. This was different. He didn't fight like he fought Ramirez. He fought and engaged. There were early on the fight, especially, there were large chunks of the fight early where he was right there for Brian Norman. Brian had no answers. None. No answers for him, and got dropped and was buzzed and hurt. Devin was never hurt. Nothing like that. So again, we need to just give credit where credit's due. If you think some other guy beats him, cool. Save that for a different conversation. So I enjoyed it. I do think, and I'm being fair, I'm always going to keep it real on my channel, bro. For me, after about round 7, I feel like Devin was up. He had banked a lot of big early rounds. So he started to coast, and that's where the fight became, it made the whole fight like meh in terms of like action and entertainment, because it wasn't sustained after that 7th round. Devin still won. I gave him the 12th round also, I believe, in other rounds. But it just he wasn't on the accelerator like he was early in the fight. Early rounds, he was banking big rounds, and he looked super switched on. 1-2 was nice. Another thing that Devin was doing that you got to be keen and showed his level or experience is very slick. They would be in the clinch or about to clinch, right? And Devin would rip nasty body shots to put extra damage on you. And Brian Norman did none of that, right? So imagine 2 fighters about to clinch. Before they embraced for the clinch, Devin was like, bow, bow, ripping to the body hard. So now he put 2 punches to your midsection on both sides, tattooed you up, and then clinch. And then was rabbit punching and hitting you in the back of the head. That's all little veteran. The ref didn't deduct a point or nothing, so you got to learn to fight. Brian Norman didn't have no answer for none of that type of stuff. Like borderline dirty rabbit punch, in-house clinch, one hand free, getting hit with little shot. He didn't have none of that. Norman, also bad and ugly for him, he was spamming the same moves over and over. Kind of if you watch Canelo versus Caleb Smith, he kept doing the same sequence over and over. Canelo wasn't biting on it. He wasn't falling for it. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of these young fighters, bro. I keep telling you. I believe Brian Norman's favorite fighter is Roy Jones. So he was trying to do this like load up, like leaping hook, kind of like Mighty Mac from Punch Out, where you just highlight reel, catch somebody with this leaping hook. And he was missing wildly. Devin was controlling the distance, moving, and he was just missing. So it looked dumb. If it don't connect on the target, it looked dumb. And he just kept doing it. He just had no answers, no clever like combinations or different ways of setup. The best rounds for Norman, the first round was cool, but the other rounds were like 7, 8, 9. He did better, but I don't even know if he won all of those rounds. You see what I'm saying? So it just wasn't a strong performance from Brian Norman, especially when you factor in the trash talk to the dads like Bill Haney. People are like, oh, Bill Haney's going to talk his talk. He has every right to. They were doubted. People clowned Devin and said he was getting knocked out, chinny, or everything under the sun. That didn't happen. They hurt the bigger puncher. And, they have every right to talk they talk. Speaking of that, the ugly. Now, I wasn't aware of this because I was doing the Boxing Ego watch party. But after the fight, when I went to get something to eat, it's come to my knowledge that at least one of the judges' scorecard was 114, 113 and had a horrible scorecard. I didn't catch that because I was doing the live stream. But come on, bro. These people need to be fired or whatever needs to happen. There's no way you could have scored that 114, 113. That means he won by 1 round. Come on, bro. It wasn't even that type of fight. Devin Haney, it was a runaway fight for him with a 10-8 round. There's only one knockdown in the whole fight, and that was Devin Haney that scored it. There's no way. Again, Brian Norman picked up the pace a little bit, and Devin like kind of plateaued a bit in round 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. But come on, bro. It was nothing to the point where in a 12-round championship fight for a title, that you could be like, oh man, Devin won by barely won. You know what I mean? Come on, bro. It wasn't even that type of fight. So that was ugly for the sport because it makes us look dumb. Who are we employing? And then the other thing that I didn't know in real time when I was doing the watch party, but since it came to my knowledge, is Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn were doing the interview. I had it on mute, so I didn't know what they were saying. But apparently Eddie Hearn was hating on Devin Haney, saying it was boring. He ran. Nobody wants to see that. Something of this effect. I didn't hear it. I heard it secondhand from sources I trust. And that's the gist of what he was saying. Come on, bro. Again, we got to be fair. If you're a real boxer, people said that he ran in the Ramirez fight. I agree there. He did use unnecessary movement. He didn't do anything of the sort, and you still saying he ran. This is what they do to black fighters, bro. It's like, if you're not knocking people out like Tank, it's boring. He ran. Devin showed an arsenal of skills, put his name back in a positive light, and people still have something negative to say. It's like, come on, bro. We shouldn't be talking about he ran. He didn't run. He was right in front of B Norm, the bigger guy, the bigger puncher, in his first fight at welterweight. What are we talking about? And I get it. Eddie's probably pulling for his dude Conor Benn to get a Devin Haney fight. But remember, Tank said that Eddie Hearn was a snake in a suit. This looked bad because ever since Devin's stock dropped from the Ryan Garcia fight, Eddie Hearn been on a campaign and he don't really say nothing good about Devin anymore. And Devin pulled Eddie Hearn, gave him a bag to help in the Ryan Garcia fight when he didn't need to, right? He brought him on board. So that's kind of cold-blooded from a personal standpoint, whereas he was first signed to you when he first turned pro. He signed a Matchroom after. I'm not talking about the Mexico fights, but when he signed to a actual promoter, it was you. He brought you along for the Ryan fight, and you ain't got nothing nice to say. Even when he has a dope performance, that dude looked two-faced. I don't know how they do it in Great Britain, mate. One more week, mate. Bang, mate. You know what I mean? I don't know how they doing it over there, but in America, right here, that looked real two-faced. When you was making money with Devin, it was all gravy. He puts on this type of performance against a bigger person, and now because you trying to pitch some weak Conor Benn fight or whatever you're trying to do, now you still making it like he didn't do enough or he didn't impress. I mean, it's sad. Boxing is a sad sport for multiple reasons. Like, just give the kid his credit, bro. It's not even that serious, bro. So that's the ugly. So I never really seen Norman get out of first gear. There were a lot of flaws and mistakes that he was making. He was squared up. He was leaning in. He was doing that same spammy move, lunging in. He was smothering his own work. He was clinching. I mean, again, I don't really have much positive outside of he showed heart. And if you watch my channel, you know I don't really put too much on the heart. You a fighter. That's a tough way to make your coin, make a living. You supposed to have heart. That should be already included. Like, you buy one of those like dolls back in the day, like Teddy Ruxpin, and it required like D batteries, and it said batteries included, two D batteries included. If you a boxer, the batteries should be included. The battery is your heart. So I don't. That just should be like built into me. You shouldn't be a quitter. You should have heart, right? So I can't really overly praise fighters for you picked yourself up and you went the distance. The other ugly is Brian Norman Sr., from what I was told, because, again, I'm doing a live stream, so I can't really hear everything because there's points where I got to talk, so I'm muting the actual telecast. But apparently, Brian Norman Sr. was saying he was up, that they were winning. Like, that's bad. That's bad corner advice. You should always keep it real with your fighter no matter what, even if it's your son. This is why some people have a problem with son and dad relationships in boxing. There was no point in this whole fight where Brian Norman should have been up on Devin Haney, point blank, period. There's no nice way to put it. No point in this whole entire fight where you could argue even or suggest that he was up. So I don't know why the corner would even suggest that at any point. So I don't know what was up with that. Brian Norman, he could still bounce back from it. He's young. Fighters have taken losses, like Sergio Martinez took a loss to Margarito when he was young. So he got spanked by Devin, though. That's just the reality. Devin spanked him. Devin did everything he said he was going to do. Devin showed his level. He should definitely be in the conversation, the top 10 pound for pound or whatever. And it looks like Devin's back. And to be honest, this is what Devin needed. He needed a performance like this because this is the type of performance better than the Ramirez fight against a more dangerous guy where you show your level, and the only people saying negative things, they just look like outright haters at this point. You know what I mean? You can't intelligently watch that and blame the aggressor. There were times where Devin was the aggressor, especially early. He was the aggressor. It's his first fight at this weight class, right? Why is he the aggressor? He's supposed to have no power. Why is he walking Brian Norman back? Why is Brian Norman backing up? So the fuzzy areas or gray areas that people had about recent Devin Haney, this was a great opportunity to kind of wash away those sins and in these narratives and notions like, oh, he hasn't shaken the cobwebs. He looked fine. Pause. That sounds crazy. He looked sharp. His jab was really impressive. Subtle body attack, impressive. Sharp shots, short shots. And his timing was good. His reaction time was really good. He just boxed well. He boxed well and kind of coasted it in the back half, but he was already up big, so it is what it is. It was up to Brian Norman to change the tempo and the pace of the fight and all of that. He had a great 1-2. He just looked like he wanted it more, and he went for it and became a 3-division champion in the process. So, again, nobody should, if you're a real fan of boxing, whether you thought he was going to get cooked or not, as a man, you should be able to admit when you're wrong. I wasn't wrong about nothing. I told you it was going to be a good fight. It was my most anticipated fight. And the Normans cannot approach this like they the Terminator and they could walk through any shot. You didn't even see Devin Haney fight at the full 147. He told you he had struggles to make weight and his power is going to be there. So why would that be part of your game plan to overlook him and think you just going to walk through shots? So Brian Norman, a lot of mistakes were made, a lot. Head was never moving. His head was on the center line. He was making an easy target for Devin Haney. No type of head movement, right, in the fight. No, like, severe upper body movement. Very stiff, squared up, kind of flat-footed. And he just fought the wrong type of fight all the way across the board from what I've seen. All the way across the board. It was the wrong fight for Brian Norman. And surprisingly, he didn't make many adjustments. And I'm not trying to rag on somebody. I'm just telling you what I've seen. He didn't really make many adjustments. So everything Devin said, he cashed in on. This guy's not ready for me. He ain't been at this level. I'm going to show you their level. When he said it to Ryan, it didn't really work out in his favor like that. But he made similar pacts and promises, and it worked very well in this fight. He didn't look like the smaller person, like the way he was fighting. After the first round, he never like fought scary. It was a very good, sharp performance by Devin Haney, and it should be by all accounts. But I see people still hating, so it is what it is. So for the people that want to know, I will do a David Benavidez, Anthony Yarde, what really happened. It will be up tomorrow morning. So come back, subscribe to the channel for that. As far as Devin Haney, he cooked. He cooked, got the dub, 3-division champion, looked good in doing it, kind of trailed off at the end, but he had secured so many rounds, it didn't really even matter. Came in shape, looked good at the weight. looked a little bit stronger, I guess you could say. I ain't had no real problem with the performance. He did what he didn't fight no Tom and Jerry or whatever dumb stuff people talk about. Skills pay the bills. Devin got better balance. Brian Norman's balance looked bad. He didn't really have great balance. And Devin exploited. He said, I'm going to handicap him, take advantage of all of his shortcomings, lack of experience. And I really believe Team Norman, when you look back at what they said versus how it played out, they must have came into this insanely arrogant and like way overconfident. Like I knew this could happen, and I told you that. I was like, don't go in there underestimating it, because it's kind of like this fight reminded me of a couple fights. One, Regis Prograis and Devin. I was at that fight in San Francisco, right? It's the same thing. Regis and that whoever, Evans, Cobbler, whatever dude, he was talking crazy. Regis was talking crazy. Devin can't hit. He pillow fisted. And then Regis was getting hurt and cooked in there. So how do you not learn from your predecessor, like people before you? Brian Norman said he studied. His dad said he studied. But if you studied, you'll know Regis made the same mistake y'all making. Overconfident, buying into the hype of boxing Twitter and hate comments of like, oh, he can't hit, he can't crack an egg. And then you start believing it. And then I told you, it reminds me of a couple fight. Errol Spence Crawford. Now, I'm not going to do Bud like that. Bud's performance was sharper, but Crawford is Crawford. But the comparison I'm making is Errol is the brute. Errol's a good fundamental fighter with power. He's used to hurting guys. Same round 2, Errol gets dropped by Crawford. You've already set a nasty tone, and you're probably embarrassed, and then you continue to make mistakes after, and then Crawford grows in confidence. Literally what happened here. Same exact round. Brian Norman got surprised. Devin hurt him. His legs buckled, and then he polished him off because he has good timing and reaction time, which I mentioned earlier. Bow, bow. You go down. You take a knee, and now you looking at your corner. And there were moments where Team Norman, at least Brian Norman, when he was sitting down in the corner, he did not look confident. His nose started to trickle with blood, and just the look on his face was like, I didn't expect any of this. I didn't expect to be in a hole. That you can't go into no fight like that, bro. And I warned y'all. Y'all didn't want to listen. If y'all remember, just type I remember. So good on Devin Haney. He moves on. Personally, what I would like from Devin is this is your new weight class. It's kind of dry, in my opinion. You just cooked a champion. Congrats. I want to see him fight Conor Benn. He said he's moving back to 47. Or Ryan Garcia is fighting Barrios in February. Fight the winner of that in the summer or sometime. Then it'll be a unification. So kudos to Devin. He did his thing. And him and Bill cashed in and studied their comp. They also, again, check the videos. The videos are up. They got to Saudi earlier and acclimated. I told you that. I made posts about it on all my social media. And I was like, Devin, here, I'll pull it up. Because people are going to be like, oh, you didn't say that, ego. All right. So I'll just pull it up. Give me 1 second. Because I didn't expect to have to do this. This is on the fly. I don't make mistakes when it comes to these videos. Boom. This is on Instagram. Y'all think I just be talking. Devin Haney is already in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for his upcoming fight, while Brian Norman's still in the States. Boom. November 6th, I posted that. Devin Haney already acclimating in Saudi Arabia for his upcoming fight with Brian Norman. He is still in America as of this post. Do you think this is going to give Devin the advantage, having more time to adjust to the climate, time zone, jet lag, etc.? I try to warn y'all. I don't know if it's a money thing and Devin had more bread, so he was able to go out there earlier. I don't know if you get comped. I don't know how that works. But him going out there shows a more advanced, more experienced team because they went out there a month before the fight to really get their sleep schedule down, acclimate, adjust to the time zone, blah, blah, blah. Brian Norman put up his worst performance we've seen, and he got there a week before the fight. Now, I'm not making excuses. I don't know what the reason for it could have just been separation in talent, but it don't help you if there's already a skill gap if you don't really have proper time to acclimate on top of there being a skill gap. You see what I'm saying? So Devin showed his experience and learning from whatever happened in his past, and he put on a clinic, Planned Parenthood, against Brian Norman. Fought like the bigger person. You know, you got to respect it. Got to respect that. On to the next one. Let me know how I did in my breakdown. Benavidez yard. Benavidez cooked that boy. But I'll do a what really happened for Benavidez yard. If y'all want that, type Benavidez yard. What really happened, something to that effect. If enough of y'all do it, I'll definitely get that up. But Haney wins. He's a WBO champion, and that's what really happened.